Good morning and welcome back to the Confidence Show. This week's episode is actually taken from a live interview that I did with Frances, who was on the podcast the other week. It's an interview that I did on her Instagram Live. We talked about how to maximise your online presence as a business owner, how to increase your visibility without actually being visible on social media every day. So we looked at some different strategies to use so that if you feel overwhelmed by social media, you don't have to show up there every day. And one of the things that we also talked about was the importance of diversifying your marketing streams so that you're not just putting all your eggs in one basket and relying on one way to market your business. So let's listen to the interview. Enjoy. You're listening to The Confidence Show, a podcast for the big dreamers who want to create more confidence so they can live their lives on their own terms. Hosted by confidence and life coach Rebecca Hawkes. That's me, by the way. The Confidence Show was created to inspire you to say yes to the things that scare you, to help you feel less alone when you're struggling with your mindset, and to show you that you truly can design a life you love. With a new episode landing in your feed every Monday and Thursday, be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out.
Visibility, right? We all know how important it is to be visible for our business, but what happens if you're only using social media to be visible and you have had enough social media? And I can completely appreciate that. My name is Frances. I am the head brain from the Social Brain. I help businesses like yours get seen across their social media platforms. And today I'm going to be joined by my very, very good friend, Rebecca Hawkes, who I'm just waiting to come on. I hope she's not left me. If you are watching live, please do send me a wave, send me a heart, drop an emoji in the comments and let me know how your week has been, so that I can see what's going on with you. I've just got a request. So what's great, and I'm going to let Rebecca introduce herself in a second. What's great about Rebecca is that she is a visibility coach. So hi, Rebecca, there she is right there, bang on cue. So hi, Rebecca, how are you doing today?
Hi, love. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm good, thank you. I was a little bit of a stall because I was like, oh my god, I don't see you yet. So welcome along to our live today. If you wouldn't mind just explaining a little bit about you and how you help people, that would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a vibrant visibility coach and I help entrepreneurs maximize their online presence without having to spend all day, every day on social media, because social media is amazing. It's amazing to get out in front of people. It's amazing to build your community, but it is also exhausting. Not just creating the constant content that you've got to create, the engagement that you have to do, but then also what I find is people get sucked into the scroll and find themselves comparing themselves, and so much time and energy gets kind of sucked from them because of social media. So one of the key things that I focus on is helping people be as visible as possible without actually being visible every day. So running things in the background, like your website, maybe having a podcast, maybe writing for Medium, something like that. Lots of different visibility strategies to suit each individual and each business, because as we know, not every strategy works for every person. And one of the key things that I help people do as well is feel confident showing up on social. So whether that's being on video, creating reels, doing a live like we are right now, I really like to focus on the confidence side of things as well.
Yeah, amazing. And you mentioned a few things there, like websites and podcasts and lives and stuff like that. And I know a lot of business owners can relate to that. How do you overcome that feeling of, oh my god, I have to be visible for my business? Because it can be quite daunting, right? It can be like, oh my god, I have to show up, I have to be seen. People aren't going to know my brand unless I'm online, or unless I'm doing this or doing that or the other. So what would be kind of your advice to somebody who's got those mind monkeys in their head?
First of all, it's completely normal. Like, as you say, so many of us have those fears. And I remember back when I started my business, so I originally started out as a social media manager. And I used to preach to my clients all the time. I'd be like, you've got to be visible, you've got to get on video, you've got to do lives. And I was hiding because I was like, oh my God, I can't do that. I'm so sorry, my dog's in the background and it's just
right.
I'm like, But I would like preach to people about showing up and showing people your personality and connecting with people. But I was absolutely terrified. So I would hide as well. So really had to force myself out of my comfort zone. And it does take practice. I think that's the first thing, like really understanding that the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Practice makes progress. It's never going to be perfect. Not every single video you do is going to be perfect. As we've already seen, I fluff my lines, my dog gets involved, I forget what I'm saying mid-sentence. Like, that's just who you are. And I think it's important that people see who you are, because it helps humanize your brand and it helps people connect with you more. Another thing that I wanted to mention was really getting clear on why you need to become visible, and understanding the impact that it is going to have on your business, like the positive impact of being able to create those genuine relationships, being able to increase your income, growing your mailing list, all those kind of things. And look at the fear of being visible, and then find an alternative fear that's greater than that fear. So the fear of being visible is huge. It's very real for a lot of us. But the alternative fear that you could look for is, if I don't show up and if I'm not visible and I'm not connecting with my community, I'm not going to have a business. And then I might have to go back to a 9 to 5, or I might have to find another way to make money that I'm really not going to enjoy, that is going to mean that I'm not living the life I want to live, and really kind of use a different fear to your advantage to overcome the fear of being visible. I think that's
I think that's a really great strategy for yourself anyway, in anything. And whenever you feel the fear, it's like, feel the fear and do it anyway, because what's gonna happen if you don't do it? You're going to restrict your business. You're going to hit that ceiling. You're only going to get so far on word of mouth. So I think that's a really, really great tip, to go away, to feel the fear and just do it. Just do it anyway. Rip that Band-Aid off. And we aren't born knowing this stuff. It's taken me, and I know that I'm pretty visible when it comes to my face on stories and on reels and on this, and it's taken me some time to get here. And I feel like I'm quite open in that, I had an incident last year when I was announcing my rebrand, and the live just froze. It absolutely broke. And it's taken me this long to be like, well, actually, this is going to be something that helps my clients, and going live quite regularly can also help me to grow as a brand as well. So it is that, just take the leap, and then you will learn. It will be practicing and getting used to it and moving forward. So I actually wanted to talk to you personally, because last night you put out a blog post on Medium with regards to your new strategy and the different things you're going to do. And what surprised me about that is social media wasn't really on there at all. So do you want to talk a little bit about that and how you came about to that?
Yeah, I think it really started, it's kind of been in the works for quite a few months now. I was working with a client short term at the start of the year, managing their social media, and they are such a big brand, but it was exhausting for me to have to be on social media so much and to create so much content and have this constant churn. And it really made me neglect my own profile. So I didn't post on my own social media profiles for months, but I was still getting people join my list. I was still driving a hell of a lot of traffic to my website. I was getting sales of my digital products come through. I was getting inquiries for social media management. And I don't promote myself as a social media manager anywhere. I was still getting inquiries coming in. And I think between like May and July, I posted twice on Instagram. And I saw that and kind of analysed that. And I was like, if I'm not showing up on social media, and I'm still visible every day, and I'm still growing my business every day, then how can I do more of this behind the scenes stuff and less of the social media that I do find exhausting and that does burn me out? How can I really maximize my online presence without doing the things that can be quite stressful? So I kind of started to look at all the different things that I really enjoy doing. I started to focus more on long form content, like blogging for my own website. I've got my podcast, The Confidence Show, so uploading episodes regularly to the podcast, writing targeted blog posts using something called Medium to write articles as well, which also, it's a platform that you can be more visible on, because a lot of people on Medium, you're like tapping into a whole new audience, which is to start with. But also with something like that, there's also the potential for you to earn an extra income as well. And it's not like a huge income overnight, but over time, as you grow your following, as you publish regularly, you can earn some money there. And one thing that I really wanted to focus on was bringing in more income streams that could generate consistent, steady income without me having to be on all the time. So my plan is to really still use social media, but use it in a way that feels really good for me. So, for example, I'm trying out this new strategy. And again, like, strategies are things that we have to try, as you talk about all the time. Like, we can try these things out. We need to leave it for a period to analyze whether it's working, and then we can tweak it as necessary. But the current Instagram strategy that I'm trying out is just a grid full of 9 posts that are a combination of valuable tips for people in terms of like strategy, in terms of confidence being visible, things like case studies, my services, an introduction post about me, but just 9 main grid posts. That's going to act as almost like my landing page or website, if you like. So anytime someone comes to my profile, they see everything they need to know about me, about my business, and about how I can help them. And then off the back of that, I can just stick to doing like maybe a weekly reel or a couple of reels a week, or I could maybe go live once or twice and keep those off of my profile so that I'm still increasing my visibility. I'm still increasing my reach, because as we know, reels last a lot longer. And you can still get traction from them like months down the line. So I'm still being visible in that respect, but I'm not doing it in a way where I've got to show up every day on social media. I've got to spend hours and hours creating content. I've got to exhaust myself doing the thing that I'm not as excited about. I much prefer creating these long form blog posts and recording the podcast episodes. And that's what really works for me. So it's all about finding and deciding on a strategy that you think is going to work for you, putting it into practice and seeing the results that you get. And obviously I can't tell you those results yet, because it's only something that I'm doing at the moment, but I feel really good about it. And
Yeah.
I think it's so important to feel good about what you're doing, because then it's easy for you to show up for yourself every single day. If you give yourself a strategy that is exhausting, that you like dread or makes you feel overwhelmed, you're not going to implement it anyway. So there's no point you putting it in place in the first place.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think that's really, really important. And the fact that, and I've known Rebecca for about 4 years now, and seen you do your shift from social media manager to helping social media marketers and confidence and move into this whole visibility thing, which I think absolutely summed you up completely. But you could just tell from how you were talking then, like there's a fire in your eyes, and you're so passionate about this because you aren't burnt out doing all of the things. And I obviously my specialty is social media marketing and kind of getting the traffic through that way, but you do need the other streams as well, because you know we can't depend completely and utterly on these platforms. So it's really important to diversify into podcasting, blogging, Medium I've not actually checked out yet, so I need to have a look at that. And you also mentioned websites and AdSense and stuff like that in that blog, and I will kind of divert people over to your profile so people can have a read of it themselves, because there might be something there that they can take away. So yeah, I think that's really, really good. And what we should say as well is you did have that social media management client, but you actively were not advertising social media marketing, right? So the fact that you are still visible and known for that is really kind of what's the word that I'm looking for? It's really powerful, the fact that you still got that client, that big brand client, even though you weren't advertising social media marketing. It's crazy. So so what kind of your I suppose we've kind of covered this a little bit, but what other ways would you say that people can maximise their visibility? Now, we've talked about blogging, we've talked about podcasting, we've talked about kind of just do the thing anyway and see how it goes. But are there any other ones that you have found useful in regards to past strategies that you might have used that our viewers might find it interesting to go and investigate for themselves?
Yeah, I think there's a few that really stand out for me in terms of online, because also I think we have to think about like online visibility and offline visibility, because there is so much in like attending networking events, going to co-working spaces, hanging out with people in real life. Like, it's huge to be able to meet people there. And I've had quite a few clients come from referrals where I've met at offline events as well. So never discount an offline visibility strategy as well. But in terms of online, things like Pinterest, like the majority of my traffic to my website comes from Pinterest, and I spend maybe 2-3 hours a month doing it. And I mean, my views at the moment are climbing, because I actually sat down at the start of the month or start of July and was like, okay, I'm going to be really strategic for this, because I haven't it's been one of those things that I've kind of just pushed to the side. And then when I had that break, I was like, oh, actually, this is a really good thing to use. But something like Pinterest, like driving traffic to your website, to your lead magnets. I drive traffic to my Instagram profile, to my Instagram post to grow my profiles there, driving traffic to like digital products, your services, all that kind of stuff. Pinterest is amazing for that. And I often get like DMs from people that have found me on Pinterest and been like, oh my God, this was so helpful. So Pinterest is huge. Podcast, blogging, what were the other ones? I've recently joined a new platform called Substack, where you grow your newsletter. And one of the things that I'm really enjoying there is the platform actively promotes your newsletter to other people. So again, you can be visible every day because the platform's promoting you and you don't have to go on. I mean, obviously it's helpful to share your newsletter across all the social medias, have it on your website, etc. But the platform promotes you as well. So even if you do nothing, you can still grow your list there, which is amazing. What was the other thing? Oh, be a guest. I think this is a huge one. Like, tap into other people's networks, because when you're a guest, like I recently had you on my podcast. I've started opening up my podcast to guest expert, or I say guest experts, but it's more about like interviews and the conversations we have like over there. But being a guest in other people's audiences, because when you go into somebody else's audience, their audience already trust the person whose audience it is initially. So for example, your audience already trust you. So when you bring somebody in, they are more likely to trust the guest because they trust you. So it builds trust much quicker. And when you go in and you talk about things to like ways that you can help people, when you show up full of value with no expectation for anything in return, it attracts more people to you and it helps you grow your community much quicker. Let's say, for example, you were going to do a guest interview slot with someone and their audience was like 100 people. Even if 10% of that audience came to you, you've gained an extra 10 people in your community, and then you can continue to get to know them there. And I think you do that for 10 other people, you've gained an extra 100 loyal people that trust you into your community, and you've only got to do like one live a week without having to create millions of social media posts. I say millions, massive exaggeration. But you know what I mean? Like it's a really nice way. And not only that, this is so much fun. Like me having this conversation with you is so much more fun than me sitting on my own creating 20 social media posts for the weekend.
Yeah.
It's so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. And people feed off of that, regardless of what platform you're on. So say if you were writing a blog post or writing out a newsletter, or you're doing a live like this, people feed on other people's energy, and your energy really comes across when you are enjoying what you're doing. And I think that's so important. There was one question that I did want to ask, and it might be a well, how long's a piece of string type of answer, but I just wanted to ask it for the benefit of everybody, really. So we've talked about quite a few different platforms, different strategies, different things that we can get involved. How many should you start with? How many should you use? You know, what's kind of your guidelines when it comes to that?
Well, I feel like I've ignored all the advice I've ever given by saying like focus on one thing. I'm focusing on lots of things at the moment. But that's working for me because I'm somebody that likes variety. I get bored very easily. I like to be able to do lots of things at once. So it's working for me. I'm currently focusing on the podcast, creating a new website for the podcast, blogging on my personal website, and writing on Medium. Oh, and the Substack newsletter. So I've got like 5 things that I'm focusing on at the moment. And for me, that allows me, like, if I'm doing podcast stuff and I'm like, oh, I just can't today. Like, it's just, I don't have the energy or I've not inspired enough, then I can be like, okay, I'll go to my website and I'll update my old blog posts. I'll add in like the AdSense there, that sort of thing. Or if I'm writing on Medium and I'm just like, I don't really know what to write today, then I'll be like, you know what, I'm going to record a podcast, and I can jump around, and that works really well for me. If you are somebody that struggles with being everywhere and like trying to do all the things at once, then just choose one thing and just focus. I mean, it may be that in 2 months' time I realise that trying to do all the things at once is a little bit too much, so I might slow down and be like, okay, this is my focus. But I think as well for me, all the things I'm doing at the moment intertwine to each other. So I like cross promote in my Medium articles. I'll promote my podcast. In my podcast, I'll talk about my newsletter. In my newsletter, I'll talk about my blog post on my website. So everything is all very mixed and very intertwined anyway. So that is working for me very well at the moment. But I did the same with my social media. Like everyone says, I mean, now my advice might change a bit, but everyone says like, oh, focus on one social media platform, grow that, and then move on to the other. When I started as a social media manager back in 2016, 2017, I set up all the profiles and I was visible on all the profiles straight away, because in my mind, I'm like, the more places that I can show up, the more content I can create, the more people are going to find me. And that was really important to me. And that worked for me then. Now, my main social media focus is just going to be probably Instagram and a bit of TikTok at the moment, whilst I do all the long form stuff in the background. That might change again in future. And I think remembering that everything can flow and working out what works best for you and your business is the most important thing. And that can take some trial and error. Like it can take trial and error. You might do something for a month. And I think there's a difference between trial and error in terms of like working out what feels good to you, and trial and error in you've got to give your strategies a long enough time to see if they work. So don't just be a month in and be like, oh, I'm not getting enough likes or I'm not getting enough followers, I'm going to jump to something else. Like, no, you have to give it time. But also, you also need to be honest with yourselves and say, is this actually working for me? Like, is posting twice a day exhausting me? I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why, like, and there are a lot of them, and I know that there are some people who are watching who have probably done these before, but this is the reason why 30-day real challenges just don't work, because they are 30 days is just not long enough for a strategy anyway. You know, it needs to be a minimum 3 months to really see if it's working. And people go all in on these reels, right? They think they need all these transitions and all of singing, all of the dancing reels, and it doesn't have to be like that. And it just ends up in burnout and resenting the platform. And we, you know, I believe that we should focus solely on one platform, but repurpose that content to other platforms. Work in a smarter way. There's no that, and if you've been watching my stories, you'll know that I've been repurposing all of my Instagram reels over onto TikTok, and that has been slowly growing my following over there. It's getting quite a few likes and stuff like that. But I just think that, you know, 30-day real challenges just generally, it's just not long enough. If you give people 30-day prompts, it's just not long enough to really see that it's working for them, and they expect thousands of followers and all of the likes. So yeah, I think that's a really important point to make. And, you know, always make it about what you can handle with your workload. Don't stop answering the phone to create a reel or to write a blog. It's always down to kind of what your workload is, and trying to fit that marketing strategy around there as well. So where can people find you if they're looking for you? Where can people find you? Medium, your website?
I'm everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Maximum visibility.
Yeah, I know. Well, mostly at the moment, I'm probably, I say focusing on Instagram. I've just like updated my Instagram profile, and I've got a lot of resources on there. So things like confidence tips for being visible. I've got some case studies for one of my clients, how we got her from being like too afraid to show up to going live in a Facebook group of over 100,000 people. Wow. And like, I've literally put a case study out to walk people through the exact process that we followed. And even I was so blown away by her results, because I was like, even I don't know if I would be able to do that, but it's fine. So on my profile, I've got resources there. You can find me on the Confidence Show podcast. My website's RebeccaLucyH.com. I'm on social media at RebeccaLucyH everywhere, and then I've just set up new socials for the Confidence Show if that's something that you want to follow as well. But yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed it, because I know you don't come on lives very often, so I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being a guest and for giving those tips, and please do follow Rebecca at RebeccaLucyH. Loads and loads of value over there, and yeah, keep staying visible. My next live is with another Rebecca Wise Funnels. She is a funnel expert, and we're going to be talking about the relationship between funnels and social media marketing. So I can't wait to kind of get my teeth sunk into that one. If you are not following me on my close friends on stories, you won't know what's in this special box. But if you do want to join my close friends list, then please leave a comment in the comment section and I'll add you onto there for loads of exclusive content. Thank you so much to Rebecca Hawkes for joining me today, the Vibrant Visibility Coach, and I shall see you guys very soon.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Confidence Show with me, Rebecca Hawkes. If you enjoyed this episode, please take 30 seconds to leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. This will help the podcast reach more people, which means we can help more people increase their confidence and love themselves for who they are. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and I will see you next time.